Somebody put in the chat. Somebody's in already. We actually have 7 people. Steve for sure picking Oregon. He hates Indiana and Signetti.
It's Wednesday night, and you know what that means. We're back live on the Big Mountain.
Welcome back to the Big Mountain, back on our normal night, normal time, and Happy New Year to all of our dwellers. Great to have you with us. We have our audio working again. Our producer, not only does he have the audio working, but he gave you some great listening music.
Loved it, yeah.
A little lounge music while you were waiting for us to start.
Yeah, it was nice.
So we're going to go through the semifinal picks, of course. We have to do that. Then maybe talk a little bit about that FCS championship game. Ooh. That was a lot of fun.
Yes.
And then I know, Steve, you want to talk about some of the Big Ten coaching changes.
Yes.
So let's get right into it, Steve. Let's get into our picks. I got a couple polls to put out with the picks as well. So the first game, obviously, is going to be Friday night. The second semifinal is...
I think Thursday night.
I'm sorry, Thursday. You're right. Thursday night. Tomorrow night. Yes, Thursday night. And then Friday night is the second semifinal. Yep. So tomorrow night's game is the Miami Ole Miss game, which is the... I got to make sure I get these right. Is it the Peach or the Fiesta? Tomorrow's the Fiesta, I believe.
Yes.
The Verbo VRBO Fiesta Bowl.
Used to be the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl.
It did for quite a while, yes. But Verbo VRBO. I say Verbo.
Verbo. I think they're trying to push that. So.
Good. But anyway, that's the tomorrow night game. We got Miami, who, I've been really appreciating their defense, and Ole Miss. So I'm going to let you go first, Steve. What do you think about this game?
Yeah, so both of us agreed last week on the spread, the pick of Miami plus the points against Ohio State.
Yes.
Now, I thought that Ohio State would still win, but not cover. And if I remember, I think you might have been the other way, where you thought Miami was going to beat Ohio State straight up.
I don't really remember. I really appreciated getting 9.5 points.
Yes, absolutely. We both did, and we didn't end up needing them.
Yeah, we didn't need them.
Miami has a great defense. Again, we talked about that last week. We saw that game against Texas A&M.
Right.
I mean, they are hard to score upon.
Yep.
They're stout across the whole defensive line. The middle is stout. Their edge rushers are amazing, and they have a good enough secondary, especially when they're getting that pass pressure.
Yep.
But I mean, honestly, just might be the best defense in the country this year. I think it's hard between them and Indiana, the best defense left in this college football playoff. Their defense is amazing. Ole Miss last week, they were able to get that awesome win. Their quarterback brings them back. They're down big after the first, not really big, but they're down and looking like maybe it's not going to be their year.
Yeah.
Chambliss brings them back in the second half. They get the win. Great story.
Yeah.
I thought their story was going to end last week, but they get that win. Were amazing in the second half. I think probably their story ends this week.
Okay.
I think Miami is just a better team when you consider both the offense and the defense. I think Miami is made to stop a team like Ole Miss as well, with great defensive front seven and then good enough secondary as well. So I'm taking Miami to cover the 3.5 points.
Okay.
I thought the line might be slightly larger than this, like 4.5, 5.5. But Miami is not necessarily always a juggernaut on offense,
Right.
Especially their quarterback Carson Beck. Sometimes he can be up or down. He was up when they played Ohio State.
Yes.
But he's not always consistent with that. But I like Miami. I think they're the better team. I think their defense is amazing. I'm taking Miami to cover that 3.5 points.
Okay. Well, I'm excited for this game. I'm excited for both semifinals. I'm really, really appreciative of the 4 teams that we have. Some new names here since the past who knows how many years now. Indiana just looking like the team to beat. Of course, they're in it. But we don't have an Alabama. We don't have an Ohio State. We don't have the teams that you're used to hearing. We have a Miami. We have an Ole Miss. I'm appreciative. Let's get some new blood in here. I'm excited for it. And I said, I think, was it last week or 2 weeks ago, I would love to see a Miami-Indiana championship game. I think that would be probably the most fun to watch. I'd love to see Indiana's offense go up against this Miami's defense. I think it'd be a really good challenge for Indiana and Mendoza and whatnot. But I also was super impressed with Chambliss and what he was able to do. So I'm going to take the points with Ole Miss.
Wow.
I'm going to say it's a close game. I think Miami wins the game, but they can't cover 3.5 points. So I'm going to say Ole Miss plus 3.5.
Okay.
Even though I like Miami, and I want Miami to be in the championship game, I'm taking the 3.5 points with Ole Miss, which kind of sucks because I'm not a big SEC guy.
Yeah.
But
Ole Miss is a fun story because they're not one of those.
Story.
They're not one of those traditional. They're not a Bama. They're not a Georgia.
And the story with their coach leaving them before the CFP. Kind of would like to see them do well. Just because we talked about that last time.
Yes, and I mean the players didn't do anything wrong. The whole thing put them in a bad position.
Absolutely. Yeah. So excited for this game. I actually love that these games are Thursday and Friday nights. I mean, to me, that's pretty awesome. I'll be able to watch both of these. Of course, the national championship game is on Monday, the 19th, I believe that is. We'll pick that game. Yeah, we'll pick that game next week. But yes, Big Mama, Trinidad Chambliss. Heisman next year, says Big Mama.
Very well could be, and he announced that he is staying. Well, first of all, we don't even know if he's going to be able to play college football. He needs to get a 6th year,
right?
Which I know generally you're not in favor of that. He had a lot of injury issues and different things. So I think he has a good case, and they're really fighting for him to get that 6th year. And he has announced if he gets the 6th year, he's coming back to Ole Miss,
right?
Which is awesome. To see a player stay somewhere. But he's a pretty. Not only is the team a good story, his personal story is pretty awesome.
Totally agree. Awesome story. So let's put up our first poll, and the poll is going to be the same poll for each game. Who do you think is going to win the game? Not beat the spread, but just straight up win the Fiesta Bowl. Ole Miss or Miami. Get your votes in now. So you're taking Miami minus 3.5. I said I'm going to pick Miami straight up, but I'm taking the points with Ole Miss in this game. So that's who we think. We'll leave that up for a little while. Want to give a shout out to who we have in the Dweller Cellar. We've got Matt Muldoon. We've got Brad Stanton. We've got Moses, Big Mama, Las Vegas Larry. JEH is in the house. Good to have you all here. I see some happy New Year's and happy Hump Day, fellas. Thank you, Las Vegas Larry. Always good to have that in the chat. All right. Are we going to go to the next one?
Yeah, let's go. Let's move on.
Friday's game. We've got the team that Steve loves, and he loves the coach, and so do I.
Yeah.
Indiana. And, we'll see if this juggernaut of a team, this can I say the U word, or is that a jinx if I say the U word?
The undefeated?
Well, you
always,
said it.
Always,
okay.
Yeah. You know what I miss, though? I'm going to interrupt you first.
Go ahead.
Seconds. Okay. What I miss is the old days before they had overtime, and there was, I think it was Keith Jackson, when he would announce a team, it just gave me chills. He'd say, the undefeated and untied.
Well, thank
Indiana Hoosiers.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, they're playing the Ducks, the Quacks, JEH's second favorite team. And again, Steve, you're the wisest one here. And actually, before you give this pick, let's tell everybody where we're at here.
Oh, okay.
Through the bowls and the CFP picks. Steve is winning, and not only winning, he will continue to hold on to the Big Mountain Bowl title.
Yep.
He's 26-17 this year so far in his bowl and CFP picks. And I would say, I didn't keep the records of the past couple years. I could go back and to our history on YouTube, but who wants to do that? I want to say 26-17 might be the best record we've had.
Probably. Yeah.
That's pretty damn good.
I had a good year this year.
You had a good year. 26-17. I have now scratched my way to be above 500, 22-21. Of course, going 4-4 last week in the CFP games. That certainly helped me. But I'm no guarantee yet that I'm going to finish above 500. We got 3 games left. 22-21, 26-17. Well done, Steve.
Thank you.
Well done.
I think, honestly, and we've talked about this, I really think it speaks to how well the Big Ten has done.
Yeah.
And obviously, that's my conference. I'm really plugged in there. I expected them to have an amazing, even a little bit better. I expected, I think Nebraska to beat the spread. I didn't hit that one. And I expected Ohio State to cover the spread last week, and they did not. But for the most part, the Big Ten is amazing.
You picked Miami.
Oh, yeah, I did take. That's right.
Yeah,
I
you thought Ohio State would win.
But I did take Miami, yes.
Right. So, anywho.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to this game. The Indiana Hoosiers versus the Oregon Ducks, the second time they're playing this season.
Yeah, I mean, 2 incredibly good teams. If not for that loss that Oregon suffered at home to Indiana earlier this season, they very well could be, for the second year in a row, undefeated in the Big Ten champions again, all of those accolades, except for the one loss, which came earlier in the season, and I picked that game. I picked Indiana to go in there into Eugene and upset the Ducks, and that's exactly what they did.
Yep.
I think they won by the score wasn't huge. I think the Hoosiers won by 9 points or something like that.
That sounds right.
Yeah, but when you watch the game, and I watched every minute of that game, it was very clear that Indiana they were the dominant team that day, even in a very in a tough place to play in Autzen Stadium.
There you go. But you didn't let me down.
No, but they got the win. They mostly dominated the game. It was not as close as the score. Now, there's been a long time since that happened. A lot of things have happened. But I pretty much expect the same thing. I think I was surprised the line is only 3.5 points. Indiana is a 3.5 point favorite. This is the Peach Bowl, which I think is in Atlanta. In Atlanta, in the big stadium, the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, or whatever.
The Chick-fil-A
Peach Bowl, yes. Yes, which is funny because there is a Chick-fil-A in this stadium where they play NFL football on Sundays, and I think it's
closed.
Well, I think it was at first, but I think it's the only place that they allow the Chick-fil-A to be open on Sundays. So, because it'd be kind of silly, with the
it would be, but man, I thought they were pretty.
I think this is the only exception. Maybe people can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think
being a betting man, I'm going to put money that you're right.
Yeah, it was one of those weird things that I heard one time and it just stays in my mind.
Yeah. Okay.
So I was surprised at the line. Only 3.5 points. Indiana is they haven't been slowed down.
No.
Not only have they not been beaten, they have not been slowed down. They're just killing
Penn
people.
State. That was awfully close.
That was at Penn State. Okay, yeah. So Penn State's the only one to slow Indiana down. Their basketball team is the only one to slow down Michigan. They darn near beat Michigan.
That's true.
The other day,
I saw that.
Yeah, which was pretty amazing.
Yeah,
close but no cigar.
Yeah.
So that's the caveat there. I think Indiana wins this game probably by double digits or close.
Yeah.
And you never know. Dan Lanning's a great coach. Oregon's a great team.
Yep.
But I just think Indiana is on a roll. They're a train that cannot be stopped or slowed down unless you're Penn State. So I'm taking Indiana to cover the 3.5 points. We don't generally do locks during the bowl season or any of that. If we were doing locks, I would lock this game.
Okay.
I love this line here again because I think Indiana's going to win this game somewhere between, we'll say, 8 and 13 points.
Okay. I like it at 10, so I'm with you. I am, taking Indiana minus 3.5. Little surprised by the line. Thought it might be 5.5, 6.5 type of deal. I'm not surprised it's not above 7, but I was a little surprised it was this low. And yeah, I mean, just look last week. Yeah. Indiana flipping manhandled Alabama. I mean, it was not even close. Yep. And of course, Kurt Signetti, he can't smile until he, kind of has to up on the podium, because the man's all business. And as he said, Google me.
Yes, exactly.
If you, everybody knows who he is now.
Yes.
But just a great story. I'm super happy for him. I'm super happy for Mendoza. I love this kid. I didn't really know. I mean, I knew who he was in Cal and whatever, but I've followed him a lot more here at Indiana. Him winning the Heisman. His family stuff. Yep. What an awesome kid. I'll tell you what. When they talked to him post game, I'm like, is this dude? I thought maybe he was a politician or something.
Right.
Because he's like you would have, if he would have taken his uniform off, you would have had no idea that person just played a flippin' quarterfinal football game. Like, just an awesome kid.
And I think it's a testament. We've seen his parents on the different and they're going through his mom publicly is acknowledged through her MS diagnosis and all that stuff, and his mom and dad just seem like absolute bedrocks of strength. And I think they've passed down. I've heard his brothers speak as well, and they're great young men. And I think it's just a testament to how he was raised, and then also how he's been coached over his life. I mean, he said he had great coaches that brought him there, and then also since coming to Indiana. Kurt Signetti made him one promise, and that was, I will make you the best Fernando Mendoza that you can be. Okay, and what is that? That's a Heisman Trophy winner. That's an undefeated quarterback. Yeah, and for me, again, I really like both of these teams. I think Oregon has a great defense. I think Dante Moore has played great. They have great skill positions, but I think Indiana matches them. And then when it comes down to who do you trust in a big game like this, you cannot. In my mind, at least this year, you cannot beat the combination of Fernando Mendoza, Kurt Signetti. You just gotta trust them. And Kurt Signetti, he was not going to let this team just chill out and be, hey, we won, we did it, because they haven't done anything yet. Right. They won the Big Ten title, but they didn't do anything of real importance yet in Kurt Signetti's mind.
Exactly. I was just going to say that.
So he's been coaching them hard, and they're going to be ready to go. That was the big thing in the Bama game is Indiana, like right away from the beginning of the game, looked like they were ready to go, and Alabama did not. And I think Dan Lanning, great coach. I don't think it'll be that big of a difference. We're not going to see Indiana blow out Oregon like they did to Bama. Sure. But I do think they win this game comfortably, and I just trust the quarterback and the coach. And did you make your pick?
I did. Okay. Yeah, we agreed.
Okay, all right.
Indiana minus 3.5. And here's what I'm going to do. I agree with you kind of on the lock, but instead of going all in on the 3.5, I'm gonna do things a little different. I'm gonna go heavy 2.5 because you can get alt lines now, right? Yeah. I'm gonna go heavy 2.5. I'm gonna go normal bet 6.5, and I'm gonna do like half a bet that I would normally put on 9.5. Yeah. All Indiana to cover.
Very nice.
And we'll I think it'll be fun.
Yeah.
We'll see if it's fun or not.
Sometimes I make different bets, but I don't usually name them on our show. But I did a Indiana first half.
Okay.
Separate bet. I did an Indiana minus 3.5.
There you
separate
go.
bet,
okay.
And then I did a
parlay
of those two, and I went kind of heavy on all three of them. So.
Well, Steve likes something if he's parlaying it.
Yes,
you're not a parlay
no.
guy. I love the parlay. I may have to take a look at some of these same game parlay options we have. But anyway, let's close the first poll. We'll see what everybody has to say in that first game in the Fiesta Bowl. We've got 67%, so 2/3 say Miami, and 1/3 say Ole Miss to win straight up. Of course, we have another poll. We'll put that one right up. Same question for the Peach Bowl. Who's going to win straight up? Indiana or Oregon Get your votes in now. I see Steven has joined us. Good to have you here. Happy New Year. And JEH laughed at me. He knew I was just teasing with him. JEH wants Miami. He wants them to win it all.
Okay.
Win it all. So we know for sure we have a Big Ten team in the championship game, right? And is it Big Ten versus SEC or Big Ten versus ACC? And not only do I like the Miami defense and stuff, but I would much rather have an ACC team in the final and keep the SEC out of it. I think it'd be phenomenal.
Miami is a historically, they're a blue blood. I think they're a blue blood program, historically very good program to great over the years. They have not played for a national championship since I think 2002 was the last one against Ohio State. That was the infamous pass interference at the end of the game, all that kind of stuff. So it's been a long time. I know Miami wants to get back in there now, but I will just say really quick, because I know you're rooting for the ACC team to get in because you just don't like the SEC. No. I can understand that, but it does remind me, if they end up getting in, the ACC as a conference almost totally flubbed this thing. If Virginia would have won that game over Duke, Miami would not even be in this game or in the playoff at all. So let's hope they get their stuff together straight before next year.
Well, and I'm just going to say it right now, Steve. Like the way it ended up for 2 years in a row, the 2 years we've had a 12-team playoff, the committee got it right. Now, caveat to this year saying they screwed the pooch the week before when they had Notre Dame above Miami, and then they flipped them for no really real good reason other than to be like, oh, well, we went back. But you already knew that. Yeah. So you kind of screwed yourselves on that. I always thought Miami should be in above Notre Dame anyway. So, I think they got it right. I understand why Notre Dame was upset about that. But to me, they're 2 for 2. I think the committee's 2 for 2.
I think for the most part, I think everyone would agree except for Notre Dame fans. But there is an argument to be made between at the end Alabama, who got an at-large spot, whether they should have been in there or Notre Dame.
Yes,
but you could argue that one either way.
It's an at-large. Miami's at-large.
You could argue it either way.
I honestly would. I could live with Notre Dame above Alabama. To me, Alabama was the low man on the totem pole. They're the one that eked in, not Miami.
And I will say that I think that's where you see some of that SEC bias in the committee. This year we saw a little bit. That's the only quibble I would have.
Sure. Okay. We'll leave the poll up just for a couple more minutes. I want to talk real quick about FCS, and then we'll let you get to the coaches. I watched the entire FCS championship game, and phenomenal game. I know you watched. You said most of the fourth quarter, and then the overtime. And Illinois State, they caught fire at the exact right time.
Didn't they play? Who did they play early in the season? Was it UNLV and nearly beat them? There was another. They played somebody early in the season. Maybe it was a Big Ten team.
Maybe
and almost beat. And right away I knew these guys are going to do something this year.
I felt bad for quarterback Rittenhouse. He played they all did, but you could see how just emotional he was. When they missed the extra point, they missed the field goal, then they missed the extra point. And, I hate to see that happen that way for the kicker because he's feeling like crap. They've had kicker issues. I did a preview for that game. I was going to mention it, but I didn't want to jinx the poor kid that they were going to, kicking has been a bit of an issue for Illinois. And guess what? That was their Achilles heel, both in terms of winning it in regulation and missing that extra point in overtime. But my goodness, the last play of the game, 4th and whatever it was, 10 or whatever the heck they were, I'm like, dude, Montana State is screwed. And boop, they get the job done on 4th down. Just a super exciting game on a Monday night, the Monday Night Football game for the week. Shout out to the Montana State Bobcats, their second national title ever, first since '84, so over 40 years. Good stuff. They've been that number 2 behind the Bison now for like the last 5, 6, 7 years. They finally are able to break through and get a national championship. Great game.
Yeah, and I love the way this game was highlighted. We were knocking ESPN a little bit before their bias, but they did a great job with this.
Yeah,
I love that they had it in Nashville.
Yep.
Great location
Yep.
for people to go this time of year. You were down there around that time.
Yep.
Just fantastic location. ESPN and all the media people did, I think, a great job of highlighting this game. Like you said, putting it on a Monday night when there's no NFL. No, I don't think there was any other games
Nothing.
that night. Yeah.
Yep.
So it was fantastic. I hope they continue to do that. I think they were playing in Vanderbilt
Yep.
Stadium, which I thought was great.
It was.
So I loved just the ending. I didn't have a rooting interest in this game at all, but just I watched. I think it was probably the last 4 or 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, and then overtime. Then I saw highlights afterwards that went through. So I'm very happy with how the media highlighted this game. You know, ESPN, I got to give them props. I loved everything about it. When it was, where it was, how they highlighted the game, and it was exciting, fun game. And so I hope they continue to do that going forward.
I'm going to pile on because you hit them all. Props to ESPN. We all like to crap on ESPN. We do it every so often here. But in terms of highlighting that game for what it was, a national championship game, prime time, Monday night, really well done. Loved that it was in Nashville. Awesome city. Really nice stadium there for Vanderbilt. And shout out to the fans because they had that sucker full of fans for the national championship game. I will say I was maybe 2/3 Montana State fans versus Illinois State, but hey, they showed up and it was packed. You know, it made the bowl games look, made them look like nothing.
Yeah,
because they packed that freaking place. So well done all around and great game.
And maybe we always like to say, hey, we need to go to the Sun Bowl. We need to go here. If they do that again next year, maybe that's something we need to go down and cover. See if we get press credentials.
You wouldn't have to twist my arm too hard. Let me tell you, wouldn't have to twist my arm. So, all right, let's close the last poll, Steve, and then I'm going to let you roll with some coaching changes in the Big Ten. Let's see what we got here. We've got Indiana 86%, Oregon 14%. So one voter for Oregon. Everybody else is with us thinking Oregon is going to rock and roll.
I know that the one voter for Oregon is not JEH, unless he hit the wrong button. Might be Big Mama. Maybe Big Mama's just trying to mess with JEH.
Yeah, that's right. Somebody might just be kind of joshing with JEH. All right. You're up, buddy.
Okay.
Big Ten coaches.
Yeah, so we had 4 changes so far in the Big Ten. Who knows when these are going to end? Because we thought they were over, and then Michigan went out and fired their coach and had to hire another one. So we have UCLA, we have Michigan State, we have Penn State, and we have Michigan, who needed new coaches this year. So I'm going to kind of grade these coaching searches, a combination of the search and the hire. Okay. And I'm using 3 criteria.
Okay.
I'm using the process. I'm grading taking the process of finding the new coach, the new coach's resume, his kind of credentials, his bona fides, and then basically the fit there. Because you can have a great coach that isn't a great fit at a certain program.
Which may be, the most important part. Yes. You got to have that fit, the culture.
That's a big part. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we're going to start with UCLA. All right, they fired coach, was it Deshaun Foster, I think was his first name, last year. We saw that coming.
What was that, 5 weeks into the season?
After week 4 games. We saw that coming kind of preseason. I predicted he would be the number 1 coach on the hot seat, and that didn't take a genius to figure that out. And we saw how it went. So they had an interim coach, had some success after making the firing and then the interim coach, but they really wanted to go out and find a program builder. Okay, so we're going to start with this one, and we went out and hired Bob Chesney, the coach at JMU. I think he's been there since Kurt Cignetti left. Has done a fantastic job continuing the success of that program. I think now they've had 2 or 3 coaches in a row that have really done well there. That program has done well, and he, his method is much more of a program builder. Okay, he's going to bring in guys, fit their culture, fit their system, look at their evaluation, and just develop those players. And he's done a fantastic job at JMU. He's now the head coach at UCLA. So first of all, I'm going to talk about the process there. I think actually with where they fit into the Big Ten and the coaches that were available that were going to come to UCLA, I think they did a really good job. They knew Foster, he was not the guy.
Right.
So they made a decision early, and they put in a good person as the interim, and they kept that person. You might get the job, kind of like your auditioning live in person. But they really went out and did a wide search for a program builder type candidate. And I think probably the perfect candidate for them fell into their lap, okay, a little bit. There were some other programs looking at him. But I think his resume and being a program builder, what he's done at JMU is very, very good. So I rate that highly. Now, it could be a big jump, going from JMU, going from the level he was at up to the Big Ten, which is maybe the premier conference. He's going to be, and he's also going from the woods of Virginia to LA to Hollywood.
Right.
So I have a couple questions about the fit. I think he's a great candidate. I'm a little worried about the fit. I think the process went pretty good. I'm just worried that this might be too much of a big step for him. So kind of some marks there taken off. And I'm going to give this hire a B-.
Okay.
I think, again, I think the search, the way they handled it at their level of a program and who that they could get, I think they did a good job with that. And I think this is a great candidate, a program builder. I'm just worried about the fit. So that's why I had to take some couple points off there. We'll give that a B-. Any comments on that?
The only thing I would say is there's not really any shoes to fill. Expectations right now for the team aren't, high.
Yeah.
Or even average, maybe, given what they've kind of gone through. Now, they did get things put together here, mid to late season a little bit. But it's not like he has these huge shoes that he has to fill in that program. So I think that helps him a little bit. I totally get what you're saying with fit. But, you look at these coaches, when they have it figured out, I mean, look at Signetti, who went from D2 to, G5 to potential, national champion possibly. When they stick with their system that has gotten them kind of where they are, I think it's proven that it can work anywhere. Now, you'll have to make tweaks. You're dealing with different players, different athletic abilities. And, obviously we don't know if that's going to be, I don't know if that's going to be the case for him or not. But, I like the hire. I think you're fair at B.5, or B-. I mean.
There, yeah.
B.5, yeah. B-.
I met a couple B.5s.
Did you? Okay. Oh, yes. I knew you had something for me.
I had to.
All right. Well, yeah, we'll see how he does there. But again, I don't think the expectations. I would say every fan base has high expectations, so that's probably not fair to say that.
Yeah.
But it's not like he's going into a situation where, and you're going to get to a team here later on, a Penn State that's typically used to having a 10-win season. Like, if you don't have a 10-win season, we see what happens. So, he's not in that situation.
I mean, if they win, let's say over his first 3 years, if they can average 8 wins, get to a bowl game, get around 8 wins, 7 to 8 wins a year, I think the fans would be pretty happy in those first 3 years.
Agreed.
Okay, so moving on to the next one. This will be Michigan State. Michigan State hired Pat Fitzgerald, a guy I think we're both big fans of. Had a fantastic tenure at Northwestern. Northwestern is a challenging place to win for a lot of different reasons. Yeah. And, so most years he kept their head above water. There was some bowl years, some years they played for a Big Ten championship. I think he had a Rose Bowl win, if I remember correctly, at Northwestern. His resume as a coach, pretty good. I mean, he's never competed for a national championship, but I give him, let's say, like a 9 out of 10 when it comes to his resume, just his success at Northwestern. Now, the process, I think they handled the process fine. I think they realized with Jonathan Smith? It just was not going in the right direction. They were just completely kind of stuck in the mud. He hadn't had any success since being there, and the players seemed to be kind of regressing, especially Aiden Childs, their quarterback. Right. They were just either going in neutral or going in reverse. So they made the move. I was a little surprised that Fitzgerald was able to get another Big Ten job right away after the scandal and everything that happened at Northwestern. I thought he might have to go to a lower level and come back up. So I would say I was pleasantly surprised. I think it's a good fit there as well. I have no problem with the process. My only thing is, when you look at the resume, he did really well for Northwestern, and it's hard to win there. He hasn't shown yet. I think Michigan State has higher expectations than Northwestern. They're the little brother of Michigan, but they think they should be able to compete, and they were able to under Mark D'Antonio. I think they have higher level expectations, and I don't know if it's because we haven't seen it. So I'm going to give Michigan State a solid B.
Yeah.
I think the only thing is, can he prove that he can make that team a winner? Challenge for a Big Ten championship, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I like the fit. I really like the fit. Part of me with the whole Jonathan Smith thing, and just not even him, just any coach that you only allow to be there 2 years.
It's tough.
It's like, you have the first year that either they set the world on fire and they hit the ground running because of maybe in this environment they're able to bring in some transfers, which he did.
Yeah.
And anybody can now. And maybe they just have a better base at some places than what Michigan State had, and this and that. I struggle to see people turning over coaches so much. Like I feel like we're in the NHL all of a sudden, where the easiest switch is the coach, and so we're going to get rid of him. But to build a team, I mean, and we're kind of getting away from it now. We're getting GMs and we're getting transfer portals, so it's not quite the same, and it's going to keep changing. But I do kind of feel. I struggle with these programs that turn over coaches every year or two. Like you're going to keep getting the same damn thing because there's no continuity. The players are getting, recruited by this coach. That's why you see players going with their coach and transfer portals. So I struggle with that. This has nothing to do with this hire.
Yes, yeah.
It's more just, commentary on the coaching turnover in general.
Yeah, I totally get your meaning, and I will say I like to pick on Notre Dame sometimes, but in most of their history, I think Charlie Weiss might have been the first one. Most of their history, whoever their coach was, if they had a 4-year contract, 5-year contract, they got all of that time. And at the end of the contract, they would decide, are you going to give you a new contract? I think that would be a smarter way to do this. Now, there are certain cases like for cause, when your coach is sexually harassing staff,
Right, yeah.
you got to get rid of him.
A little different.
And I saw what was happening with Deshaun Foster at UCLA, and I think it was very clear that was not going to go in a good direction. So I get that. But Jonathan Smith, he wasn't really doing anything bad. It just he wasn't pushing the team forward. So I'm with you on that. I hate seeing all this turnover. And I think some of the best programs you see are the most stable.
Yeah.
They keep their coaches longer and let them develop their program. But I'm with you on that. And so again, I'm giving Michigan State a solid B.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see how it turns out. Hopefully they give Pat Fitzgerald a little bit more time if it takes some time, because he's more of a culture guy.
Yeah.
Like he's not the guy who's going to go get the biggest 5-star guy and pay him $10 million to come there. He's more of a culture builder and a program builder, similar to Bob Chesney at UCLA.
Yeah. Well, shout out to you. We did a members only episode that talked about coaching. Both of these teams were teams that you talked about with hot seat coaches, and here we are talking about coaching changes. So I know our members saw that episode. I'm allowed to talk about it now. It's been a little while, but you had both of these on your radar. You had another one that you're going to talk about on your radar too. So which one are you going to next?
All right, so let's go to next. We're going to go to Penn State. Okay. And I think everybody knows I'm a Penn State fan, Penn State season ticket holder, all that kind of stuff. So obviously, I've been plugged into this one for a while. However, I was actually kind of pretty surprised when Penn State, they were through, let's see, I think it was through 6 games in the season. They were 3-3. They lost some games. They lost games to Oregon, Northwestern, and UCLA, two teams we were kind of talking about. And, it was rough, but they're one season removed from a national championship, okay? Or not national championship, from a national semifinalist in the CFP.
Yeah.
So I was a little surprised about that, but that's over and done with. So now let's look at the so I said I was judging on the process of the coaching search, the resume of the coach, and the fit there, okay? So I'm going to go kind of backwards here.
Okay.
The fit. Matt Campbell is the new coach. We see the picture of him with Nelly Bendapudi, the president of the university, or I think it's Neely Bendapudi, and Pat Kraft, the athletic director, who we're going to talk about him later. So the fit, Matt Campbell, culture guy, kind of like Midwestern. I think he fits in absolutely perfect with Penn State and the culture there. A fit for the fit, I would give him a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's a great fit there.
Yeah.
I think he's a great hire. Now let's look at his resume. Okay, did a great job. He was at JEH. No, someone will know here. I forget. Oh, he was at Toledo. That's right.
Yeah.
He was at Toledo. Did a great job there. Then he goes to Iowa State, who traditionally did not win many games in the
Right.
Big 12.
Right.
Did a pretty good, I would say very solid job there. I think they were 8-4 last year. He's had them win 9-10 games a couple times, but did a really good job there. And I think he's a guy who has shown he could do more with less, kind of thing. Lower level recruits, develop them, and so I give his resume pretty solid. They were firing a coach who also was very solid, but just couldn't get to that national championship, beat the top like 5 teams in the country.
Right.
And Matt Campbell does not have that really on his resume that he can do that. I think they had one victory over Texas when Texas was ranked high at the beginning of the season, but was really kind of on the downward slope.
Yeah.
But generally, there's not much in his resume that shows that he will definitely be better than the previous guy.
Yeah.
So I have a pretty good resume, but not like full points there.
Yes.
Now let's talk about the coaching search.
Oh, please do.
Yes. I would say an absolute travesty of a coaching search. If Pat Kraft, the AD, I don't think there's any way he could have handled this more poorly. They actually had identified Matt Campbell as a candidate early in the process, and couldn't get a hold of him. Like, how you can't get a hold of a Division I football coach? Like, maybe you Google the Iowa State directory and call him straight up. I don't know. So they moved on past him, couldn't get a hold of him, and went through a whole litany of candidates that basically all told Penn State, piss off. I don't want to come there.
Right.
I don't like the way your program is run. All kinds of different various reasons. And all the while, instead of kind of being humble, Pat Kraft was out there just running his mouth, telling we're going to find the best coach ever. We're going to spend all these millions of dollars on NIL and all of this, and we should be competing for a national championship every year. Just running his mouth. All the while, people are saying no. Now, they did kind of luck back into the loop of getting. So you have to give them points for that. Now, however, there's some rumors, there's some stuff out there that basically the president of the university, and I made sure to have all 3 of these in this picture if you notice. Neely Bendapudi, there's some rumors out there that she kind of intervened in the process and said, hey, you can't hire Matt Rule, your buddy.
Yeah.
You need to look at these other candidates, including Matt Campbell.
Okay.
And there's some rumors that maybe she closed the deal with him and then told Kraft, don't mess this up.
Okay.
All that kind of stuff. But it took a long, long time. They had a lot of candidates say no, and they finally settled on who I think is a great candidate that should have been one of their top. Once the big home run hitter said no, he should have been the next guy. This should have been done a long time ago. Caused them to basically lose their entire 2026 recruiting class.
Yep.
A lot of people have left the team.
Yep.
I think it was just totally bungled and mismanaged from Kraft. But in the end, they got a pretty darn good candidate. As a Penn State fan, I'm excited about what he can do here going forward. But I do think it's going to be a lot like what we just saw in Coach James Franklin. I think this will, with the resources he has, I think he could probably win 9-10 games a year. I don't see him as a guy who's going to go out and grab the 5-star players and all that kind of stuff and put Penn State on a level like an Ohio State or an Oregon or whatever. And I'm not even sure Penn State has those resources if he wanted to do it. So very good, solid hire. I'm giving the whole process a B+. Should have been higher, in my opinion, if not for the bungling and the mismanagement by Pat Kraft.
Okay, so I have 2 things for you. Number one, it'd be hard for me to give it a B+ because of the criteria you're using. I don't have an issue with Campbell, but they couldn't have screwed this up much more. And what you've just said about the president getting involved, like I'm not into that. I'm too busy following my Mountain West stuff. Makes total sense. I mean, we all knew what it looked like from the out. I'm just an outsider. I'm
clown
like,
show.
Oh, complete clown show. Complete clown show. So I'm not surprised the president got involved because it was a complete joke. And frankly, as you said, it made Penn State kind of like a laughingstock-ish, and they lost everybody. So good luck, new coach. So be that as it may, I get it. Your first 2 criteria, I'm with you, but my gosh, F for process. F.
Yeah, the lowest spot. 0 out of 10.
Is completely 0. Some people say you can't go below 0, and that's a good thing, and that's what I would say to this. We're not going to a -1. But anyway, the other thing I would say is just your opinion on, do you think coaching, not is the team going to be better or anything like that, did Penn State improve their coaching situation last year to this year?
Now, when you say coaching,
Head coach. Sorry, not
So,
coaching team.
even when you say
coach.
head coach, are you talking about like X's and O's? Because in college football, you have the coach is also like CEO.
I understand
all that. Yeah.
I mean everything.
Okay, everything. Then no.
Yeah, okay,
But-
me neither.
Yeah, but
That's why I asked the
I think
question.
there's a good possibility that it will be pretty much even.
Okay, and I can appreciate that. I can, but maybe even.
Maybe even.
Maybe
Maybe
even.
even.
But
Maybe.
we didn't fire a coach to be maybe even, right? Like in my opinion, like that's not what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
And when it happened, I went, you just screwed yourselves. Like before the whole process got before all of that, I'm like, who are you gonna get?
Yeah.
That's better than
And
the coach that you have.
And a lot of that comes down to Pat Kraft was making poor decisions before the coaching change, before the process even started. He came in here. Matt, it's no surprise.
Yeah.
Matt Rules is like his best friend. They go on vacation together. They played together. They were at Temple together. Matt Rule's he was from State College, whatever. His intention was to fire Franklin and hire Matt Rule.
Okay.
Well, the problem is Matt Rule in Nebraska were a total flop this year.
Yeah.
Everyone was expecting them to take steps forward and be good,
Right.
and they just kept losing games and losing games and losing games to the point where the president of the university is like, "Hey, if your plan is just to hire your buddy,
Right.
that's not happening. You
Right.
need to find someone that can show some positive success and all of that." So,
Okay.
I think the process was cooked before it even began.
Okay, there you have it.
Yeah.
All right.
Now I will say, as far as me, the reason I'm giving him a solid, what I said, a B plus right now.
B plus.
B plus is because I think it has the opportunity. We'll see how Matt Campbell does.
Okay.
But if he can do similar at this level to what he did at Iowa State, kind of overperform expectation, it may end up 5 years from now where we look at it was an A. Like he was a great hire.
Yeah.
So.
We're going to get to the comments here after Steve gets through his last one. Of course, Penn State was not one of the teams that you talked about in the coaching changes, but your last team is one that you talked about. Maybe not for the reasons it happened the way it happened, but you had it pegged. So your last one here, Steve.
Yeah, so the last coaching change that I'm going to grade here, and the last one for this year for the Big Ten.
Right.
I actually am going to have one bonus thing that we don't have a slide for. But after I go through here, I have one bonus out of the Big Ten.
Okay.
But we're going to talk about Michigan and Kyle Whittingham.
Yep.
Okay. So yes, I've had Sharon Moore pegged for a while, and I could never really put my finger on it. You know, we talked about maybe him not developing Bryce Underwood, being the coach that was going to take Michigan where they needed to be, where they wanted to be. But there's always just been this lingering thing. Sharon Moore was that guy. He stayed on a staff from Harbaugh.
Yep.
When Harbaugh was basically found guilty of all the stuff Sharon Moore goes on TV and crying, "That's my head coach and he's a great guy," and blah, blah, blah. There's just been some weird lingering things, and there's been a lot of rumors.
Yeah.
I try not to, there's been a lot of salacious rumors for the last year, I will say. And so I try not to put too much stock in those salacious rumors.
Sure.
But those salacious rumors came to a head. We find out, and Michigan has known about this for a while, but they were doing an investigation, and they fire him right after losing to Ohio State, fire him for cause because he was basically... very salacious things were going on between him and a staff member, and he ends up going to jail. Gets picked up by the police, goes to jail. So I cannot blame them in any way, Michigan, for how that went down. Now, they did know about it for a while. They could have put him on like a paid leave, like Michigan State did with their coach, but they decided not to do that. And who knows, they may have internal processes that they have to follow. So I'm not going to give them, I'm not knocking Michigan any points, even though this was really late in the game.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to judge on the process from the day that he was fired. Okay. So from the day he was fired, right away, they were looking at very top shelf candidates. You had him looking at Kyle DeBoer down at Alabama, some other folks, top level candidates. When their very top levels maybe didn't come through, didn't come home, they went to Kyle Whittingham. Very successful. So and they hired him quickly.
Oh yeah,
it was very quick, drama free.
Yep.
So I'm giving them full points for process.
Yep.
They found a great candidate and they found him quickly, even though they were late in the process. Now let's talk about the resume of Kyle Whittingham. Great coach, has done a great job at Utah.
Yep.
Tons of success, punching above his weight, doing more with less, all of those things, developing players. Very good resume. Now, Michigan generally wants someone who's like a national championship
Right.
level guy,
Yeah.
or if they're getting someone from the pros, like Harbaugh had been in the Super Bowl, all those things. So maybe his resume doesn't match up to what Michigan would normally want, but there's different parts of a resume. There's your record, and then there's how you handle things and how your team is.
Yeah.
And I think coming out of all of these sanctions and problems they've had, and now with this coach, I think Kyle Whittingham is the perfect coach from a culture, going to do what's right,
Yeah.
gonna kind of fix the program. So I give him full marks for Whittingham's resume. And then now the one area is the fit.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to knock a couple points
Yeah.
off for the fit, because normally Michigan's all, hey, we want a Michigan man, we want that guy that's going to come in and win national championships right away. So knock off a couple points for the fit. Although I think this is maybe the kind of coach that Michigan needs, not maybe what their fans want, but this is what they need at the time. So I knock off a few points there, and I'm going to give them a solid full A.
Good. Okay.
Not an A plus. It was almost an A plus.
Okay.
Knocked off a little bit because of the points, because of the fit, but not too much. A solid A. And Michigan, they say the sun shines on a dog's butt every once in a while, and I think they kind of lucked into this after mismanaging the Harbaugh situation, the Sharon Moore situation, and got a really, really good coach. And I think Whittingham is a guy. He's not going to be there 5-10 years. I think he'll be there 3-4 years. He could come in and if everything goes right, they could win a national championship.
Yep.
They could get this program back in order,
Yep.
back on the right track. So I give him a solid A, not the A plus, which is the top.
Right.
But very good hire for Michigan. Any thoughts on that?
I'm with you. I thought you were going to go A minus, so I agree. A minus, wherever you're at in there. Not A plus because of that. I totally agree with where you're at with that. But everything you said, kind of late to the game, if you will, closing it quickly. Great, moral character in this guy. At least everything that you can see. And you know me, I've been a huge fan of Utah and this guy for a decade now. And I don't know if I can like him as much up there in Michigan as I liked him in Utah, but I'm with you. I love the hire. I think they did kind of luck into it, but it's also Michigan. I mean, one of the biggest programs in the country. So there we go.
So I think it was David Jorgensen, DJ. He asked a question about, I think you moved it there on me, but
I was going to go through these from bottom up.
Oh, okay. Well, I want to address, there's two quick that I want to address.
Okay.
He asked about would I hire Kyle Whittingham at his age.
Yeah.
And my answer to that is yes for this situation. Like, would I have wanted him hired at Penn State right now? Probably not, mostly because of his age. But I think he's a perfect candidate for Michigan. And yes, if I was running a Michigan program, I would have had no problem hiring him. Give him a 4 or 5 year contract, whatever. He'll probably play out 3 to 4 of those years. I think he's a perfect fit, and yes, I would have hired him. And then I think DJ also had a question about Penn State. Penn State. And,
he said he's just unsure of
Matt Campbell.
Yeah.
So
he likes Matt Campbell, but question mark.
Well, that's the thing, and we already kind of talked about that. But Matt Campbell, great guy, great culture. I think he'll be a great fit. But is he an improvement? And you asked that. Is he an improvement over James Franklin?
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I think it'll probably be about the same.
Yeah. Well, and Bill says, Matt Campbell will be good for Penn State provided the administration doesn't meddle with the program. Are you concerned about that, or do you think they're going to be okay? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, when you say administration,
I'm going to say he means the AD.
Okay, AD. I think the AD will be gone by the end of this year.
Okay,
that was
going to be a question.
Zero confidence in the AD.
Okay,
but I have a lot of confidence in the president of the university. So that's kind of a split answer for him.
All right. And Bill also says Michigan needs a culture change and integrity in the football program. Whittingham provides both. Smart move by Michigan, which is rare these days.
Yeah.
So kind of agreeing, with some of what you said there. And then, DJ says, can Michigan handle such a grounded, high morals head coach?
Sometimes.
Guess we'll find out. That's the culture thing, the fit, right?
Exactly. And yes, because they think highly of themselves, the whole Michigan men. Well, the Michigan men have screwed them over and put them in this position. They're still a high-level program, and I think Whittingham can put them back on the right track.
All right. So I see Tyler's here saying hello. He's saying Mountain West teams better watch out if they get into the Mountain West, this being the Bison. 10-time FCS champion. I hear you. They're going to come in and if they get in, they're going to be up at the top right away.
And it was Illinois State this year, right, that upset the Bison in the playoffs.
It was, yes. So let's get back to that. So that college football guy, Bill, says it took everyone long enough to notice Illinois State. And then Steven gives credit to Bill for convincing him that they should join the MAC. Illinois State should. I think Steven just did a episode on that, if I'm not mistaken.
I'll have to go back and watch that.
Yeah.
I think they could be very competitive in the MAC.
Yeah. So two of our good, long-standing dwellers kind of banging that drum for Illinois State before they made it to the, national championship game. What else do we got? I'm going to kind of go backwards here. Moses is liking that as well. Illinois State to the MAC. Okay, so DJ, this is back to your first coach there. What's his name at UCLA?
Bob Chesney.
Chesney. DJ saying, did Chesney flourish at JMU because of what Kurt had built?
I mean, the thing is,
hard to judge that, isn't it?
It's hard to judge that, but I would say more to the no, because Kurt had taken all his best talent.
He took some talent for sure.
Yes, there was a culture there, but Chesney had to rebuild that thing.
Yeah. So, and I know we're not talking transfer portal, and it's still open, so who knows? But the other question DJ had was, is he bringing a lot of players from JMU to UCLA? I don't know if you've looked at that at all.
I've heard of like 2 or 3 going to UCLA, but there's been a lot of other players that are going to other programs in the East area. Because that's another thing, like we talked about with that DeFit, going all the way to LA.
For sure. DJ loves the Michigan and the Michigan State hires. Yes, Big Mama did vote for the Ducks. I believe that was the call out from you back about 30 minutes ago. So, all right, we got through them. Let me see if there's any new ones here. Yes, Bill did mean the AD. He's a problem for Penn State. Needs to go. Just can't think of a replacement candidate.
And the thing,
I can think of one.
You're going to say the same one?
ADJD.
That's exactly I thought about that. Yeah, Jeremiah Dickey.
Can you imagine if we got ADJD at Penn State? We'd have to meet that man.
That would be fantastic.
I mean, we've already met him, but we could meet him in our own state.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing with Pat Kraft at Penn State is his how can we say this politely?
Since when are we polite around here?
Okay.
No, say whatever you want.
His ass can't fulfill the promises his mouth makes. Well, that's what I'll say.
That's pretty clear.
Yeah.
He definitely has a mouth on him.
Yes. Okay, so I do have a bonus.
That could be taken really negatively. Okay.
I'm keeping this polite sports.
I got you. Okay. Keep going.
Okay. So I have a bonus.
You said you have something else. Oh yeah, yes. Bonus. Yeah.
So I have a bonus coaching change, not in the Big Ten, from the Big Ten. Again, probably not a big surprise. Everyone knows I'm a Penn State fan. We talked a lot about the Penn State coaching search. Yeah. So I'm going to just give some thoughts on the exit, James Franklin leaving, and where he ended up going, and grade that. So James Franklin very quickly gets hired by Virginia Tech. They had him. Like in their sights from day one. There was a little bit of flirting with Florida State. Florida State wasn't sure if they were going to keep their coach or start looking for another one, and they were somewhat interested in James Franklin. He didn't want to wait around for as long as it was going to take, and they end up retaining their coach. Florida State did. So he goes to Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech is a program at their absolute peak. They were winning 10 games and winning some ACC championships, okay? Mm-hmm. And that was at their absolute peak. Their fans have different expectations, than a lot of Big Ten teams do, and then a lot of the top ACC programs. So I'm going to give. So let's talk about the 3 criteria there. The process. Virginia Tech identified their candidate right away. Maybe took a little longer than they wanted, but I think it was part of the normal thing. It was pretty damn quick. It was pretty quick. They get James Franklin, so you get a high level. So that's the process. I give him full points for the process. Yeah. Let's talk about the resume. High level Big Ten coach who won the Big Ten in his 3rd year at Penn State, but has not been able to win since. They did go to the national semifinal last year, but they've never been able to break through, get to a national championship game under him. They only won the one Big Ten championship in his, I think it was 12 years there. So there's that question of what is his ceiling, okay? So I think those are valid questions, and we'll see as he moves to a different conference. It's a little easier to navigate your way through the ACC than when you're playing Michigan and Ohio State every year, sprinkle in some Oregon and some Indiana now and all that stuff. So a little bit easier path there. I think, and if you look at, if you say he has the same ceiling, like a 10-11 win ceiling, win a conference championship every now and then, get them into the playoffs, I think he has the perfect resume for what Virginia Tech is looking for. They're a different program than Penn State. They're a different program than Ohio State or Georgia. Different expectations. So I think his resume, and he's known as a program builder. That's what he did at Penn State. Took them from the worst sanctions any program has ever been to a national semifinalist, and or even in 3 years took them to win the Big Ten championship.
Big Ten
championship, beat Ohio State.
Yeah,
and so definitely known as a program builder. He's more of a build through the high school recruiting and build a culture, get people all on the same page. Than he is an NIL recruiter, which now, I mean, the world is kind of changing to NIL, especially if you want to be at that top level. We saw what Texas Tech has done. We saw what Oregon has done for years. Ohio State, the biggest contenders in for the national championship are the biggest spenders in NIL. That's just the way it is. But again, Virginia Tech is not at that level, does not have those expectations, does not have that money. So for Virginia Tech, I think his resume is basically perfect for what they want to do. And then you look at fit. He's on really good recruiting in that area. He was at Vanderbilt before, put some good classes, one state over. He's at Penn State. He's recruited really well in the state of Virginia. I think he fits in with the fan base there, with the culture. Big culture guy, not as big of a write big checks kind of guy. So I give him near perfect marks for fit there as well. And honestly, I give this hire. And again, they're in a different conference than Penn State, total different world. I give this hire an A+ for Virginia Tech. I don't know that there's anybody in the country that they could have gotten, actually had a feasible chance of getting to come there, who would be a better fit and have a better resume than James Franklin there. So I give them perfect marks, a perfect A+ for Virginia Tech. Now, is he going to win a national championship there? Who knows? But I think he will fit in really well with what their program expectations are.
So I'm going to say he has an ACC championship under his belt in his first 3 years. That's what I'm going to say. He gets an ACC championship sometime by 2028. 26, 27, 28. So I also agree with Bill. He's a smart dude because he's that college football guy. James Franklin, this is what he says, can excel at Virginia Tech. He can win 8+ games a year, stay there until he wants to retire. A+ hire by Virginia Tech. We all agree, A+ hire. I was actually a little surprised how quickly it happened because I thought he would be super sought after. And maybe, the fit for him was just as good as the fit for them. And he's like, this is where I want to be. It's not far from Pennsylvania, not far from where he was at in Vanderbilt, still on the East Coast. Still, he can bring players. That's where he's been recruiting. Man, is it going to get much better than a Virginia Tech for him? It was a match made in heaven, if you want to call it that. So an A+ from both sides. I was a little surprised that it happened as quick as it did. For me, just because... To me, he was one of the biggest names there.
So he talked about that in his first press conference.
I didn't hear it.
Yeah, well, I did. I'll tell you. Okay. And he said at first the job he wanted was Florida State. They were already in contact with him. Him and his wife have a house in, I think it's Sanford or something. It's in the Florida Panhandle, not too far from Tallahassee. They love it down there. His wife and daughters love it.
I think you mentioned that before.
Yes. Yeah. And so I think he kind of didn't say it directly, but what he said was that basically he looked at some other options. There was one he was very interested in, but they were going to take a while to make a decision, and he wasn't even sure the job was going to come open. So he said the Virginia Tech people just kept on him, and then he kind of came to that realization, all the things. He's from that area. He's done well there, all of that stuff. So I think it ended up. Now, I do have one actual extra point to make on that, which is kind of weird. So Brent Pry was his defensive coordinator for quite a few years at Penn State. They had top 5 defenses all the time there. He actually was hired, I think, 4 years ago as 3 or 4 years ago as the head coach at Virginia Tech. It didn't go so well. He's a great defensive mind and defensive coordinator. Probably not the CEO type of coach that they needed, not a program builder type thing. He's a X's and O's coach on the field kind of guy. Maybe not big thinker. as far as looking at like all the things that go into a program. Well, he got fired by Virginia Tech back in October. Well, James Franklin has brought him back as the defensive coordinator. You don't see that very often.
No, you don't.
And I think the reason is because such a great relationship between James Franklin and Brett Pry.
Yeah.
So right away, they're getting an experienced guy back who has a lot of experience as a defensive coordinator and put together top 5 defenses under Franklin. So that's a bonus.
There's the bonus. I appreciate you bringing that one up. So let's wrap this up. We have a transfer portal discussion dropping tomorrow. Mm-hmm. We talk about what's going on with Washington and Williams and potential tampering and lawsuits.
Yeah.
And we've got all the answers.
Yep.
Nah, we don't have all.
We got all the opinions.
We've got all the opinions. So watch for that to drop tomorrow. Really cool discussion. Yeah, in football season, we're so focused on, games and facts and what's going on. We don't have a lot of these opinion type things. So we get back to kind of doing what we got started doing here, just having opinions, and that's what we did. And I'm going to start something tomorrow on X.
Okay.
ADJD to PSU.
Oh,
I'm starting a hashtag.
I love it.
ADJD.
I will share
the
it.
number 2.
Yeah.
PSU.
I'll share it with all my Penn State friends.
I'm doing it. All right. I mean, it ain't going to happen, but I'm doing it anyway because it sounds fun. With that, hey, thank you guys for watching this. We'll be back next week. We're going to pick the national championship game, and we have Immaculate lined up to join us on the pod next week. We got a lot to talk about because, as I just got done saying, we're so focused on the games that now we got to figure out what the hell's going on with the congressional and the this and the this and the, I don't know.
And let's be clear. Immaculate's been telling everybody who would listen for at least the last 2 years, this stuff was going to keep getting worse, getting more complicated if we didn't get some federal legislation. We haven't gotten it yet. But I'm interested to see his opinion about where we're at, what's going forward, and do we have any hope of fixing this going forward.
Ted Cruz is still trying to bang the drum.
Yeah.
He's still trying. I don't know how many is listening to him.
Yeah, well, and I've had reservations for a while that Congress would actually do something. So,
well, it'll be fun. We're going to do that next week,
Yep.
and then we're going to get back to having another call-in segment. Maybe by the end of the month,
Love it.
We will do another Big Mountain call-in segment because it's been since probably July.
Yeah.
Maybe August since we did that. And we want to talk to some dwellers. So with that, hey, thank you guys for watching this one. Always enjoy our live episodes and having the chatter there in the Cellar Dweller. Smash that like button on the way out, and we'll see you next time on the Big Mountain.